Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Let's talk a bit about meditation. What is meditation? Heidi has asked me, please talk a bit about it. What really to do? There are so many ways that are propagated how to meditate. People do online meditations, being guided, doing all kinds of visualizations. There are so many techniques that are given out as meditation technique. What is really meditation? Basically, all these different ways to go about it, they have one essential point. They should have. That we consciously bring the attention back to that which makes the whole experience possible. That we come back to that sense of being alive. That which we immediately touching when we say I. So whenever you really bring the attention back to that, you can say you meditate, whether you are active or inactive. Now, it is not so easy for most of the people to simply abstractly connect with that consciously and stay with it. So all the different techniques are being given. They are not wrong. They are means to keep the mind from just wandering off, dreaming away all the time. People who don't try to become aware of what is going on in their head are not aware that they are thinking and dreaming all the time. It has become such a habit that it's just normal, but it's a compulsion. And being focused on those thoughts, and even if they are going half unconsciously, then the attention is always going into these stories, missing that sense of presence. Somehow or other, we just have to come back to that. I'd ask also what's the place of observation in it. Something is observing all the time. It's always there, not getting involved and yet observing. But we can bring the attention to that fact that that observation is going on. Observing the breath, observing the thoughts, observing the body sensations. If we consciously do that, then we bring the attention to the present. Here, now, we are touching that. Simply when we observe, we have to be sure that we then don't get stuck, completely fixed on what we are observing, but just use it as a reference point to bring the attention back to that which is in touch with life now. But then we can also relax. We don't have to create somebody who is observing. Then that's again a new personality that we are creating, and then we have to observe that observer, and so on. If we create a new one, we have to observe that one. Finally, we have to observe the observer of the observer of the observer. But being aware that that observing, that witnessing is happening anyhow, we can bring the attention to that. The very fact that we are witnessing makes us aware there is all this is happening in the so-called outside or in the so-called inside, in the phenomenal appearance or in the psyche. If we observe that, then we become aware, okay, somehow there is a connection with that, but I am not that. There's something prior, here, now, that is capable of observing. And it can bring us back to that. Let everyone find their own way, how it is easiest to bring the attention back to that. If somebody asks me how to meditate, I ask them usually, what are you doing anyhow? And then we talk about what they are doing and find out can he, she can continue what they are doing. But it's good when one has a way of meditating to always remember this is a means. This is not the end. This is a help for what? To become self-aware, to become aware of life, to become aware of consciousness, to become aware of the flow of love that is there all the time. If somebody comes to me and has no idea and doesn't do anything, then I ask them, okay, learn to breathe consciously. Breathing is happening now. And then when you breathe consciously, learn to relax on it. Instead of getting all tense about it, relax. And then just breathe consciously and relax. And breathe and relax. And if they are ready for a little more focus, I tell them to center. To center, to choose a point in the body where they feel most comfortable, and then just breathe, centered, relax, and be. My first teacher in meditation was Elizabeth Heitch, and she was very much into there are no techniques. If somebody talked about meditation techniques, she was getting impatient. There are no techniques. Just be here, meditate, be conscious. Don't do this, don't do that. Now, this is not so easy for most of the people. There's nothing wrong with those techniques. But when we use those techniques, it's good to remember it's a means. It's a means that we can learn to be consciously conscious. consciously in the present, in the timelessness of the present, consciously feel being alive now and relax. In that relaxation, we open up. And basically, that's all we need to do. Consciously connected, relaxed, and open. There are practices with a lot of intense concentration. They also help us to be here now. But often those practices, they are devised actually to develop something, to achieve something. And one can do those and achieve whatever they want to achieve. But as long as we are not consciously being aware of that which is so familiar, that sense of being alive, that sense that I'm touching when I say I, then you cannot really say that you're meditating. You're doing you're doing a practice, you're doing concentration exercises. That's okay. That's in the long run very helpful. But then you have to make that step beyond that. That simple step of just being consciously alive, consciously conscious here, now, and let go and be open. We can't really make an effort beyond that because that one who is making the effort comes to a rest here. It's like we are inviting then reality to manifest clearly. That invitation we can give all the time. As I have said many times, it is very helpful if we have every day some time where we are doing nothing else, where we are not busy, where the attention is not always diverted to other things, that we can put the undivided attention simply to that simple fact that we don't have to create, that we are here, conscious, alive. And Tuda and I came here, then there came one teacher who was very intense about there are no methods. Wanting everybody to, there is no method, there are no methods. And then somebody asked, but self-inquiry, then the teacher said, yes, but self-inquiry also if you don't make it into a method. There's no point, there's no need of being so intense about that. Of course, there is no method to become what you are. You are already what you are. There's no method to become that. Now, there are methods to learn to quieten the mind to make it easier to connect. And those methods are okay. Those methods are valid because a very agitated, very active mind can gradually be calmed down by doing self-inquiry, by consciously breathing, by repeating mantra, by doing visualization, whatever one likes to do. Those methods are effective for what? To become what you are. The very idea is absurd to become what you already are. No, those methods are effective in helping to recognize the obstacles and learn to remove the obstacles. Learn to become aware what prevents us from being that in that natural state where we simply are. Lutzer sent me a quote basically saying, why sailing to the moon? If we have not been able to cross the abyss that separates us from our true nature. And then he was wondering, but is that word abyss really correct in this situation? It is basically not correct because there is no abyss. There cannot be. If that which is not present, then nothing is. There is no experience, nothing is. So there is not really an abyss. But if somebody talks like this, then they talk about what people experiencing normally all the time. And it seems like there is an abyss. It appears to be like this. So one can talk of the abyss that has to be crossed. It's just a way of talking about uh, what we have to do, what is going on in the human mind. But that abyss is only apparent. It's just a matter of using words. But if you take the usual average experience, then there seems to be a tremendous abyss from that consciousness that is being kept so locked, small, turning round and round, always about the same thing, compared to pure consciousness that simply is naturally expansive. Meditation is basically to cross that apparent abyss, become aware there is no abyss. There has never been. We just have created it in our mind and then kept it there by thinking about what we are thinking all the time, creating our reality and then stabilizing it by thinking about it and keep it alive by continuing thinking about it all the time. When I first went to visit Amma, I said, please, Amma, open me the door. And she smiled and said, are you sure there is a door? It's again the same. Is there an abyss or is there no abyss? There appears to be. There appears to be something locked and we have to somehow open it up. But that which is aware of all this is here. Nobody can say, I'm not aware. If they are not aware, they cannot say anything. Nobody can say, I'm not alive. If they are not alive, they have no experience of saying, I'm not alive. this awareness is always there. There is no abyss, there is no door. It is here, it is now, but it appears to be, and the meditation is the way of becoming aware. It's not that meditation is crossing the abyss. Meditation makes us aware that there is no abyss. I have a friend who writes me, it becomes easier and easier and more natural to just be connected with that awareness. And it's so simple. And it looks like, well, that's what I'm adding now. It looks like it's nothing, so big deal. What's the big deal about it? Why should we struggle to be aware of that? It's not that there are big things happening necessarily. One can become just very calm, very open, feeling naturally at ease, at peace. Not ecstatic, but with a simple, natural, peaceful joyousness. But this is the base. And if we are capable of tuning into that, then the experience of that will unfold, and that will be different from one to another. And then there may be all kinds of experiences coming, but then one doesn't get deluded when an experience comes that we think, oh, now I'm closer to reality. Now I'm closer to that. But just appreciate with wonder the, a new aspect of that reality that is opening up. If we meditate, if we bring the attention back to that which makes the experience possible, if we learn to be rooted in that and function from that perspective, there you are opening up, you're giving out the invitation, and then the experience will start to unfold, and there may be, for some people, tremendous experiences. For others, there may be just a gentle intensifying of the natural peacefulness that one just goes from moment to moment with increasing peace, with increasing power, with increasing ecstasy. Okay, I leave now the subject, and then I just have seen before the satsang that Leora has written. Obviously, she tried to come the last time and couldn't come in.
I'm here now.
Ah, you could
Yeah,
come
I've
in.
managed to figure it out. Yeah. But still, I wanted to write it rather than to,
Yeah.
yeah.
So shall I say what you have written, or you are expounding by yourself on it?
No, I prefer that you do because when I start talking, then it becomes like longer and longer. So,
Yes. Okay, the question was, how can we prepare for a future in this crazy time? Of course, for you, it appears especially in the situation of Israel, but actually it's for the whole world, everywhere. What is going on is, and there is not really any future planning that we can do, of which after that we can be sure that we can do that. like this or like that, because it's like things on a more subtle level, there is such a intensity of an energetic struggle, and it can always manifest like this, like that, and all our plans go to naught. We can have an idea in what direction externally we rather would go, we rather would develop, but it's good to be aware. It's very well possible that nothing of that can happen because things keep on changing externally now so fast in any direction. There's only one way to prepare for the future, that is to learn to live in the now, to really learn to do that what I just have been talking about, what meditation is. Not to worry about the future. We can have our thoughts and be reasonable about it, but not to worry about the future, but accept, okay, it's totally uncertain, but I cannot now do something about it, about that time. But what I can do now is to really connect with that which is timeless, which is not in the past or the future, but in that timeless now. And if you learn to live with that, in that, be rooted in that, that is absolutely the best preparation for the future also. Because the better you are capable of staying centered, no matter what is happening, the better you will be capable with deal whatever is coming externally.
Yeah, I believe you. But you know what happens here is that many people think they probably have, uh, but anyway, think they have the possibility or the knowledge or the talent to predict all the catastrophes that are waiting to us behind the door,
Yeah.
just here, yeah, almost here, almost now.
Mhm.
And some of it sounds logical. Also, thinking about history, how things happened there, and yeah,
Mhm.
and comparing. And of course, I know it's not the same every case, every person, every country, every flower is different. And I do follow news, and I read stuff, articles, and then of course I also say to myself, they probably know something, maybe even more than I do, but then I have this possibility to do what you've been just describing. So I'm holding I'm holding both, um, only both, yeah, possibilities, and it's getting better for me because I read and I know, and yet part of me says there's no way we can really know.
Yes, there have been people. You wanted to continue.
Just to say one more thing is that it all depends also on take how I react to what is actually is happening. As I've said many times, when I hear the bombing in Gaza, which makes everything very real for me because I live so close.
Yes.
Or when I see a photo of the soldier who is captured in Gaza, and for more than 600 days and how he looks and his physical, mental condition. And I see that, and then this takes my energy, and there I have to be really like strong on my foot, on my feet, because otherwise we all would have collapsed. So it feels like it's a built-in system, or also all the practice I've been doing and the like wisdom of life. I don't know. Yeah, so now I'm ready to hear what you.
Of course, what you hear, what you can see, images you can see, are totally shocking these days. Now, coming back to how to deal with it and how to deal with the future and what people are saying about the future. In the present, when you see such a thing and it blows you away, you can recollect yourself and you can connect with that situation that is terrible to see, and somehow by not getting lost in it, but being centered, something very nice flows from you and you are supporting that. It gives it easier a possibility that it can turn more harmonious. Now, all those people who see the future, there are people who have that ability to see in the future, but that future they are seeing has never really been written in stone. They are seeing probabilities. And right now, there is such a energetic upheaval, you cannot rely on any future predictions. And the whole psychic scene, the whole psychic level is very much corrupted. There are those forces who create troubles and who want to create troubles, and they are influencing very much the psychics without them being aware of it. And they say after that anything without being aware that actually they are pushed by an influence that they are not wanting, that rather creates on purpose more confusion. So don't give any value to future predictions, but you can still be reasonable to have prepared in the sense that you have something to eat at home if you cannot go shopping and stuff like that. But beyond that, I wouldn't worry about making future future plans, because it's whatever. And even those who really see real probabilities, they don't mean much right now. It changes all the time. You cannot rely on anyone's predictions, so better don't worry about predictions. Be with the present. Send towards the future something positive, something harmonious. Then you contribute that it can turn in a better direction.
I somehow, when you said about the food, I thought just before you said it, yes, but I have to prepare food to be ready. And
Correct.
then you said it's like the most maybe basic need. But I wanted to ask you now, when you said what you said about the future and there is no future, and I feel that there are levels of reality, and if there is something called reality, and levels of connecting, and levels of what I connect to, because it's very easy somehow, or natural, I would say, to connect to the like strong energy, the hysterical energy, the scary energy to whatever people say, and go with the stream like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what you suggest, like the meditation, the connection to connect to the inner and to meditation, whatever, but there are also different levels in between, which I'm not sure what they are, but it's not like this or that, or like it's like that. It's like different levels of awareness and of energy. And so somehow it makes me let go. It makes me relax to know, to realize that there's no way you can stop on one truth.
When I say to connect with that essence, to be here now, to get rooted in that, that does not in any way mean that I'm creating a wall that I don't want to see, that just I try to create a bubble. That is not creating, connecting with reality. But what I say, the best you can do for the future is that you really learn to be here now. The more you train yourself to be here now, the more you will be capable of doing that, even if things change into even more unfavorable circumstances. The stronger, but then, of course, you are here now, and then you perceive what is happening, and you may see trends for the future, but there we need not take them too serious, and they change all the time, and we need certainly not pass the present worrying about bad predictions, about bad things that may happen. As I said, on a practical level, nothing wrong with having a bit of store of food at home and look that in case something bad happens, I cannot go out and I still have something to eat.
Yeah.
But you cannot really plan too much. And connecting with the self, connecting with the essence is not cutting yourself off from levels of manifestation. It simply means that you learn to be in that, because this haven is always there, no matter what is happening. And the best we can do is learn to be rooted in that. That is the best equipment for the future.
Yeah. Okay.
Not as a cutting yourself off, not like going hiding in a hole and think, okay, I wait until the future until all has passed.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, it went deeper. Thank you.
Ariol, Ariol. I
Yeah,
wish
really
you well.
appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
You're living in a crazy time. Everywhere it is. In some places, it's manifesting extremely, but it's there everywhere. People are much more under an attack than they are aware of everywhere. So it's so important now that we really learn to connect, that we really meditate in the truth sense of the word, that we learn to be here now, to be conscious of being alive. And no matter what is happening, then this peaceful, joyous existence cannot be disturbed. There are forces who try their level best to destroy that, to disturb that. It cannot. They are in manifestation. There are different levels of manifestation, but this, you are prior to that. Here now. That sense of being alive, that sense of being conscious. And if we learn to get really rooted in that, this is the best preparation possibly for any future, because that makes us strong and capable to deal with situations, to be flexible with changes, to deal with very difficult situations without freaking out and somehow make the best out of it. If that base is there. Bring the attention home, back to that. Remind yourself, this is more important than anything else. This is the base. If I can master that, then come heaven or hell, I'm prepared for it. Actually, it was always that which was the most important thing to do, even if very few people thought about this. Right now, in a time like this, where everything goes up and down and left and right, it just puts us more in front of our eyes. Don't get lost in all that chaos. The attention drowns completely if we get lost in it. And we struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle, forgetting we just have to turn around and we are at ease, we are safe. Everything manifested changes. Anything can be destroyed, but not that. This is prior. And if you are connected with that, then the fear disappears. The terror of the future that can be terrible disappears because, okay, no matter what is happening, this cannot be touched. Here now, that sense of being, let's make it in our haven. Let's make it in our home. Be rooted in that. And then let the things come. And there, from such a position, you can actually act to deal with situation much better, much more creative, and much more effective. Okay, I'm stopping with that. I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to come in, say something?
Namaste, dear Werner.
Hello, Sunita.
I have question about our plan Earth, and is it a really precious time that and precious event that we incarnate on this level? Because in one hand, in many sources, in many books, I read and heard that it's very precious. That we incarnate here, we can inquire all this duality, all this peace, war, black, white. And in the other hand, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, Arjuna, get away from this ocean, sorrow and misery. And what do you think? Is it good for our evolution that we are here, and why?
It's certainly not somehow an accident that we are here. Yes, it's a good place to come. But if you look at the place just on the surface, yes, it's a terrible place. But it's a great opportunity. in such a situation, we can, in very short time, very powerfully go deeper and deeper and get rid of a lot of obstacles. There are worlds, there are as many worlds you can possibly imagine, and many are beautiful, harmonious, wonderful, and it's okay to go there and enjoy. Now, this world has that possibility that the consciousness, the conscious experience can go really down, down into a deepest hell, but it can also, it has the possibility that it can cut through all that stuff very powerfully in a very short time. And because the world is as it is, because it's not a heaven, because there is so much going on and unpleasant stuff to confront, one is also more inclined to do so. If we are in a harmonious world, we may be more inclined to just float along and enjoy and not have so much inclination to go deeper in our own resources. But here, there comes always this that makes trouble and that makes trouble. So we are having much more the inclination to find something that is peaceful, that is harmonious, and we can find it. So on one hand, it's terrible what's going on in this world. On the other hand, it's a great opportunity because this particular manifestation, this consciousness connected to a physical body, is a very powerful instrument. And if we are not careful, if the mind is just being sucked into all kinds of things, and we totally identify with and lose the connection to reality, then one can be powerfully evil and can do a lot of destruction. As we can see, what is happening all the time. All right now in manifestation is terrible what's going on in the world in so many places. It's because consciousness got disconnected from the source and doesn't really want to connect. But if we are not letting that happen, that possibility here is tremendous. That miraculous connection of consciousness, of vitality in a physical body gives us the means to very powerfully cut through obstacles and become aware of the essence quickly. For that, it's very useful to be here. It's not that somehow by mistake that we have come. It's not that somehow, it's also not a punishment. Like some people think, oh, I have done bad things, that's why I have I had to come back to earth. No, you have decided to come back because you wanted to face these difficulties, you wanted to face these challenges and learn and grow with them and outgrow them.
Thank you. Because a lot of time of my life, I thought that it's like a punishment. Yes. And my second questions is how do you think about consistently evolution step by step? Because I always also the most time of my spiritual path of this life thought that you have to develop concentration, you have to develop to be here and now, and slowly you becomes like more peaceful, more yogi, and this is evolution. And the several last months, because of some events, I start to think that maybe the most important thing in my life and why I was incarnate in this life outwardly much more easy. it's not because I wasn't a great yogi in previous life and don't have concentration in previous life, but because maybe I have not very good attention. For example, maybe I was a man and I thought not very good about women, for example. And in this situation, I become a woman, and for me, it's like opportunity to understand much more about female nature and to make better relationship with the opposite sex people. And of course, I have to develop my concentration to be here now, but still, maybe I have like not two yogi tasks, like relationship, for example. Can
Yes,
you?
right. It doesn't mean when I said that we have a great opportunity, everybody has now to become an ascetic, sitting in a mountain cave, doing nothing else. If somebody feels inclined to do so, then that's their way and it's perfectly all right. But yes, you learn to be conscious here now, no matter what life situation you are in. It's you can be here now concentrated and do household work. Clean the floor and chop chop your vegetables for cooking. You can be busy with children and have to face the difficulties that come along with it and the joys that come along with it and not get lost in it. But always try in those situations to remember, but this is always the ground, that base that is not affected by it. Having a great opportunity doesn't mean that you have to now become a nun, renounce everything. If you would feel like being a nun, then it would be right. But otherwise, live your life, but live it consciously. And if we live consciously, we avoid anyhow a lot of nonsensical things that just lead us in big roundabout things. And learn to be here now, no matter what you are doing, no matter what the life situation is. And often people have to learn in the society, in the life story of on what's going on, to learn exactly in those situations to still remember there is always that ground that is not affected. I can be active. I can be with people. I can be with a family. I can be with friends in a job. I can be in society, but there is always this first. And I can learn to be rooted in that and at the same time active. At the
Thank you.
same time, to do every day a little sweeping in the mind is also good. So no matter how active you are, try not to completely put that away. Maybe there are periods where you have more time and more inspiration. You can spend more time concentrating, meditating, and there are times you have less inspiration and less time. But try not to completely drop it. But even if you are very active, that every day you step out of the things, of the flow of things, that for some time every day you're just not busy and just be in one way or another. But then go back into it. Okay, here I am, ready to face the new challenges. And then you're doing your job. Then you are getting people. No matter how your life story is developing.
Thank you. And what do you think about how evolution is consistently, step by step? And I really mean evolution of yogi path. Like for me, the long time, the independent yogi who meditate, who love God, and um maybe has some power, like sit here, it's a great, it's very high level. And something somebody in the world who has emotion, cries, and all this inner feelings, is something much more great, much less greater.
Yeah.
And is it possible that in some previous life, for example, it's just for example, not about myself, but no, some small girl who interested yogi and meditation in this life, maybe in the previous life she has some great experience and great spiritual level, but because she not understand maybe quite simple thing, like respect to other people, in this incarnation she has much less greater outwardly incarnation possible.
This is possible, totally.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right. But it's not that out of punishment. It's not that somebody has been there and judging and say, you have to go. It's more you yourself from the not incarnated perspective. You see things different. You see the full picture that you decide, okay, it's now very useful to incarnate and learn some humility and learn some lessons that I may have missed when I was just sitting in the mountain cave.
Thank you very much, because I really thought about this and feel like this, and it's very good fortune, good luck that I can ask you. Thank you.
Great, good, wonderful. I wish you well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Okay, I see already Josh there. You wanted to come in and say something?
Yes, hello, Werner.
Hello, Josh.
How are you?
Okay, okay.
Oh, that's very good. I had a question to ask for help with removing obstacles on the spiritual path.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I wonder. It's something I prayed earlier in the week as well, and I realized it's a very good thing to kind of just be aware that, like, sweeping away the kind of anything that might not have a positive influence or not be completely supportive of the spiritual path, so that you can kind of, just go directly. Mm.
So that's a question. Or you want to
Yeah.
elaborate? No.
Uh, I think I've said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That doesn't mean you have to have an idea externally what exactly is the spiritual path and then try to force the
Mm.
circumstances that everything is always exactly like that. Then life situations will come that will pull you out of that security. We can, of course, somehow arrange the circumstances, if it is possible, that we have less disturbances. and then still be open in spite of that disturbances will come. And we have to learn to deal with them. Basically, the rule of thumb is when we really observe ourselves, it matters what we are thinking, what we are feeling, how we are acting. Because whatever thoughts and emotions and actions that increase that sense of being separate from reality, that we can learn to avoid. And those thoughts and emotions and actions that reduce that sense of being separate, that we can open up and rather invite them. The obstacles are not so much outside, the obstacles is exactly what is going on in our own psyche. And if we dwell on things, on hatred, if we dwell on grudges that we are holding towards people since long time, this creates always more a sense of separation. And those, it's good to work on them, to let them go, not out of any moral reason, simply because they disturb. They prevent us from being natural. And that which prevents us from being natural, that is better that we learn to let those go. Not necessarily the external circumstances. If we can adjust them, fine. But if we can't, we still can continue our path unhindered if we are aware the obstacles they are what we are creating in the mind. And that same mind that creates the obstacles can be used to undo them. The mind is creating the illusion of bondage, and then it's that same mind who takes that illusion away and liberates us. So if we are observing sincerely how we are thinking, how we are feeling, and then what we are doing, with what motivations we are doing our actions, and we see those motivations, those actions, those emotions, those thoughts, they have the tendency to create more a crystallization, the me and the other, the me separate, something totally separate from reality. If that is increasing, then we can work on that too. Even if a habit is there that wants to assert itself again and again, that we learn to let it go and let it go and free ourselves from that. And when we see responses to circumstances and we become aware, yes, this is not creating an obstacle, that this my response to that situation has the tendency to open the heart more and be contributing to that awareness that all is one, all is connected, then we can open up to those thoughts, to those emotions, and rather do those actions.
Thank you. Can I ask something else?
Yes.
Does the letting go process, I notice obviously in the presence of a master, it can happen, such as yourself, can happen much more easily uh, in some ways. But does it have to still be like a is it still kind of a happens in in both individuals kind of simultaneously kind of letting go of whatever's being held, like there has to be an openness, or is it just like even without kind of consciously trying to let go, stuff can still be let go of?
Right. people who are not really thinking about these things, but spontaneously, instinctively turning towards the good, towards that which makes reality more transparent. They need not even think so much about things letting go, because they just feel uneasy if they are acting different, and then learn to turn the other way. This can happen without even having much the idea of letting things go. But now we are in that in that situation that we have thought and read and heard about this stuff, so we are aware of it, and we can also consciously go about it. And the connection with a master helps, but then it's finally still everyone's own choice from moment to moment. Am I holding on or am I letting go?
Mm. I just also wanted to, express my gratitude for that you kind of make these available open Zooms. So thank you.
You're welcome. Hariho. I wish you
Hariyo.
well.
Thank you,
Hariho.
same. Yeah.
Is there anybody else who would like to come and say something? I see
Hi,
Ravi.
Werner.
Hello, Ravi.
Hi. So I wanted to ask you about intuition and what are like, sometimes I need to make decisions and I don't have the information with me, and it'd be good to kind of make a decision. So can you please talk a bit about just intuition, basically, and the best way to access that?
Right. Basically, deep down, we always know. Deep down, we are in touch with reality, with harmony, and we always know which direction to take is the best. We don't really have doubts about doing things this way or that way. But then we have learned growing up and not listen to that and rely entirely on logic, entirely on so many motivations that are rather putting distance to that normal way of existing uh, in place. And somehow now it is not so easy to be clearly aware of that space, of that level, that knows. But we can open up to that. We can open our heart. That deep down, that voice is there. It's easy then, if we have not learned to listen to that, even if that voice comes, and it comes to everybody. But then in the mind say, no, 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 these are silly thoughts because I like it more that way, and then justify and make arguments why I'm doing this, in spite of basically somewhere behind all that mental activity, knowing it would be but much better to decide the other way. So how to learn to follow that intuition is by practicing it. But it's also then a tricky thing we can with the mind again play games that people tell me sometimes, with my intuition, I decided to do this. And it was very clear to me that was no intuition at all. They just like to do it. And then when they feel like this, they think that that feeling that is totally me based is the intuition. So we have to be honest to ourselves. But if we honestly, sincerely open up to that knowing, then Sometimes it simply comes true. And if we clearly get an impulse like this, then we can also follow it. And the more we practice this, the more this is going to happen. But then in a situation, I have to make a decision. I don't have the information necessary as you have described. And then I try to use intuition. And if nothing comes, then we don't have to somehow imitate intuition. Then simply come back to common sense and do that which makes the most amount of sense in that moment. And accept, okay, I have not a clear intuitive direction, and then we can still continue to open up to that. But at the same time, when it's not there, consciously there, then you are well advised that you just do that which makes the most amount of sense. Not necessarily that which is the most comfortable. It's not always the same. That which makes the most amount of sense and that which is the most comfortable is not always the same. Many times they come together, but many times it's not really the same thing. But just open up to that. Let it come to the surface. Consciously open your heart. And then sometimes really something comes and you don't have a doubt. Ah, this is clear. But if it is doubtful and we start to argue about it, and then you need not take it very serious.
I guess sometimes the doubt can come in, well, that you're getting it wrong, or because part of you wants, as you said, for it to be a different answer.
Yes.
So it's also working out. And can the intuition come in different ways for different people? Like for someone, it might be more words, or someone it might be an image, or just a strong feeling.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. People are different, and how they experience that may be different, but it somehow, what is maybe the common thing in it is that deep down you feel right about it.
Good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
One more question. My brain's a bit tired and foggy, but I'll try to get this. I haven't really completely formulated the question, but I find my life I guess in some ways I'm actually quite removed from society in that people might be socializing around me a lot, but I'm not actively able to be involved in that. I might be in the room upstairs just because I don't have the health at the time. And when I do find myself getting into my practices, of connecting, and it's a practice of opening my heart and bhakti or different practices like that, just being present in the moment with whatever technique it is. It doesn't, it feels nice, but it feels a bit, there's no problem there. So I don't want to make it into a problem, but it seems a little bit like an unusual way of living life.
Yes.
And in that, like one of the things is my attention is more within than out in the world. Yeah. And then I guess that I see that reflection out in the world, and people are doing normal things like chatting and talking. And I mean, also part of me probably wants to be more connecting to people and having connection, and I'm not. But separate from that, there's those things going on. And then suddenly I might be in my practice trying to visualize Amma, or, like doing different things. And so that in a sense, there's a bit of a doing, and it's very, and with that comes a sense of peace. And sorry, there's another layer of maybe a question coming into the whole thing as well, is that, I mean, I don't feel like, I don't even feel with my practice that this is who I am. And I don't think I'm ever will be until I'm fully realized, unless I was fully realized. But yeah, it's just unusual to be living this life of saying a mantra as you're walking down the path, or doing that, or doing this. And yes, it brings peace, but it's yeah. Can you please talk a little bit about that? Because what is meant to feel, I know. Yeah. So please, yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Right. It's just these doubts come because, of course, there is always a little bit that expectation to get the positive feedback from outside. And the society around you is most probably not encouraging very much the way you spending your life. And that should not deter you, but what is important is that you feel at ease, at peace about it. That is what matters. And then if people like it, nice. And if they don't like it, it doesn't matter. Yes, of course, in the situation where you are, it's rather an unusual life that you are living. So what? That is also a situation that is pushing you to become stronger, to rely on that which really you feel deep down is right. And if you rely on that which you feel deep down is right, then you are at peace with yourself. You may not always be at peace with the people around, but you are at peace with yourself. Of course, when we live together with people, somehow we have to make compromises and adjust. But still, you can keep your line, and that which is important for you, you can keep that alive. And then don't worry whether this is usual or unusual. What they are calling normal is not normal, but usual. And we don't necessarily have to join that type of usual way of existing. Never mind whether it's usual or unusual, whether you're an oddball in their eyes or not. I've grown up like this in a world where I felt estranged. On one hand, it was very easy for me to make friends. On the other hand, I felt totally strange. Like I felt, what the heck am I doing here? I don't belong here. But it was a problem for me as long as I always still waited that somehow people should understand me and like me and praise me and think that it's good and understand that I'm basically not different, or maybe it's okay that anyhow, until I dropped that completely, that expectations. It took a long time. I was already coming to India and doing all kinds of things, and until finally that went, and that sense of loneliness disappeared and give way to a great strength, because it doesn't matter. That which makes you feel a bit odd in your way of living, and sometimes may create that sense of loneliness. If we don't go into that rather in the direction of rather self-pity, but turn it around into ourselves and become aware, yes, but that is what makes me strong. If I'm true to myself, if I'm going my way, the way I think I should live it, then you become stronger and stronger, and the same thing that creates doubts before suddenly becomes a source of strength.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like, I mean, most people don't even, I mean, I have no problem sharing my close friends, maybe some of my practices, but I don't really talk about it much. But no one really knows what's going, I'm so separate from other people because I'm isolated with my health that people don't really know. So in that sense, I don't feel like I'm being judged. But maybe there is a sense of like I think probably if I and there is no real problem here, Werner. But I was just curious, just felt like talking anyway. But maybe if I lived on Amritapuri or something like that, then I would feel, it would feel normal what I'm doing. Whereas I guess maybe what you're saying is I'm in a society that isn't doing it that much, and just to keep doing what I'm doing, it doesn't matter. It's right for me.
I think there is also that these doubts can come. There is also sometimes a doubt, am I missing something? You see them hanging out and having a good time and laughing, and you are struggling away with your things, but actually you're not missing anything that is worth the while.
Oh, God. And I think what you say is really true, and I know that. I mean, there is a sense that there is reality that I do need to connect more in my heart. Part of me goes, I don't need connection, and that's actually not being true. It's about me being a bit more vulnerable, because I can isolate myself too much. But separate from that, um, yeah, yeah, like it's funny because everybody was downstairs talking. It was my daughter's party today, and yeah, I was looking at them, and they all looked really happy and enjoying each other's company. Um, but I also think I've probably changed a lot since I've been unwell and become a lot more recluse, introverted in a way. And if I wasn't unwell, I'm not too sure if I'd still be wanting to be social. Yeah.
But
I
anyhow,
have
in
no
such a
idea
situation, you
anymore.
can also you can also join in for some time, and if you feel you have
Yeah,
enough, then you take your leave.
and that's exactly how I felt. Yeah, yeah. But what you said before, I can't remember what it was. I'll listen to it again. That was made me laugh because it felt very true. Um, and the only other thing is again, it's just a small hint there of the doing. This like I mean, it's more me looking sometimes just like looking out at me. It's not actually stopping me from connecting, but it is still a rather strange thing to be thinking of Amar and opening my heart and just intensely going through that for a period of time, even if if it's just while I'm putting oil in my body and in the bathroom for an hour.
Mhm.
And there is the doing is the intention to stay in that moment. And it requires a lot of, I don't know if the right word is a lot of attention, but if I don't do it, then I get lost.
Mhm.
And isn't that a funny way to live your life, to have to, in order to become more in your true nature, to have to put so much attention into it? Um, and I know
If
it's necessary. And if I don't, I get lost in my ego and stuff. But could you comment on that?
yeah, if it would come naturally, spontaneously, effortlessly, then you wouldn't need to do these things. But obviously, you say if you don't do these things, the tendency is that you're getting lost. So don't somehow resist the fact that they are helpful. As long as they are helpful, then use those tools that are helpful. You can you can always be aware they are not really what matters. What matters is that they help you to be more connected. And some eventually certain things you may drop and think they are not more necessary, and then you drop them. But as long as they are useful, as long as they help you to easier direct your attention back to yourself, then by all means appreciate that you have those tools and use them.
Thank you so much, Werner.
You're welcome.
Hurry on.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hurry on.
Hari Om. So all we have been talking about is an elaboration of what is meditation. Not leave our life half asleep and just being pushed along by any little current that happens to come. Learn to be awake, alert, here now, in isolation or in the midst of activity in the population, with people that are close, with people that maybe would sometimes we would like to better rather avoid, and still we have to face them. No matter what is happening, whether the circumstances are harmonious or very much not harmonious. Prior to that, that is that sense of presence. It's never absent. We are just not aware of it. And whatever helps us to connect with that we can use as a tool, knowing the tool is not important. We don't have to make the tool more perfect, more perfect, more perfect in order to be better. We use those practices, we use those techniques, we use those tools in order to make it easier to become ourselves, to become natural, to come home, to learn to be as we are meant to be. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.